Hello, Flosstube. If you are new here, me too. My name is Jess. This is my second Flosstube episode. I go by Slone Stitches here on Flosstube and over on Instagram. If you are returning, and there are many more of you than I expected to be returning, thank you so much. A very heartfelt, grateful thank you from the bottom of my heart for everyone that commented and subscribed and followed me on Instagram and sent messages and all of the support that I received in general from my video from a couple of weeks ago. I am overwhelmed in a good way by the response that I received to that video. I never in a million years expected that I would have that much interaction so quickly, and I've enjoyed answering comments and speaking with people through Instagram messages and seeing everyone's projects. It's just been a dream. Especially thank you to some of my friends that have shared the video and have posted about this channel in their stories. People like Amity from Boomerang Stitches and several other people. My friend Michelle at 513 Buckeye Stitcher, who's in my stitching group. Thank you so much. And of course, a big shout out to Pam and Steph from Just Keep Stitching for featuring me in their silver and gold segment on their video this past weekend. The look on my face when that notification came across my phone, and I knew what it was going to be the second I saw it. And I said to my husband, well, here we go. And we watched it a few times. My son was especially thrilled that he got a little bit of a mention. So, you know how the way to a 10-year-old boy's heart. So, I'm here for another episode. This will follow more of a regular cadence of what I hope my episodes will be going forward. If you are new and you're curious, I have a WIP Parade that I filmed as my first video. You can go check that out. It's the only other video on my channel. I'd love for you to watch it. You can get a really good feel for the type of projects that I like to stitch on. It's a wide variety. I will stitch pretty much anything by pretty much anybody on pretty much any fabric. And I love to do different fabrics and make different decisions with designs. And I love the creativity behind it. So I like to keep my options open. So the first thing that I think we'll start with today is going over my WIPs from this past week and a half, 2 weeks since I last filmed. I actually filmed the Wednesday before I went to Stitch Away, which was 2 weeks ago from tomorrow. It just took me a few days to get up the nerve to post the video and to get over a few technology issues. So I have 4 things that I have worked on that I'll show you in my WIPs, and then, spoiler alert, one finish coming up that I also worked on in the last couple of weeks. So let's get started. The first thing that I have been working on pretty much nonstop, which is unusual for me because what I like to do is go through a rotation of all of my WIPs. I have them in a list chronologically from when I started them, and with some exceptions like WIP Go, seasonal stitching, things like that, I will go through them in order and give each of them 2 or 3 days at a time. That way I make sure that I touch everything every year. Something is always getting progress every year. Nothing languishes. But this is the Autumn Lane Woodland Winter Sal, and it has taken over my stitching life to a point. I worked on this a lot at Stitch Away, and I will speak more about Stitch Away here in just a moment. I had such a good time. This is the Woodland Winter Sal from Autumn Lane Stitchery. We are up to part 3. So this is part 1. This is part 2, which is full coverage. That was a lot. And then this is part 3 down here. A little bit of a reprieve from the full coverage, much less stitching. This is about 2,700 stitches just by itself. And this is only a little over 1,000 plus some backstitch. So much different. I am very proud of myself. I am keeping up with this fairly well. Part 3 was released this past Sunday, and I finished part 2 yesterday on Monday and started a little bit of part 3. So here's where I am currently. You can see, you probably can't tell very well in this camera, in this light, but I am using DMC Etoile Blanc for the snowflakes. Any falling snowflakes are sparkly. You just can't see it too well in this light. So you can see part 2's finished, and I started part 3 last night. I am going to set it aside for just a few days. I have some plans of things that I want to work on and a start that I'll explain here in just a little bit as well. This is the Woodland Winter Sal from Autumn Lane Stitchery. And there will be 2 more parts that go above this. And Cassandra said in the email that they are her favorite parts. So I love this already, and I am very excited to see what could be better than what we've already got. And I know that I've influenced quite a few people, both through my WIP Parade and at Stitch Away, to buy and start this. So I'm glad everyone loves it as much as I do. Set that aside because he's got to come out of the Q-snap later. The next thing that I have been working on, I also took this to Stitch Away for a little bit, is my Moonlight Sampler from the Blue Flower. I'll show you again what that looks like in case you're not familiar. Here's the chart. I love this project so much, and I am making several changes to it that I love just as much. I'll show you where I am. I did a lot of work on the middle, which actually encompasses quite a few of my changes that I made. Let's see, back up a little and I'll show you. So this is what we've got going on right now. All of my work over the last few weeks has been in the middle with this cat and the girl and the dog. So what I did, and I'll fold this up to show you a little better, is on the chart, the cat is facing the viewer. So I turned him around, which just means that I just stitched him completely in black to represent my mom's cat. Since they're facing backwards, I figured it would fit. And then I changed the girl's hair. I changed the colors and I shortened it to look more like my mom's hair. And I changed the colors on the dog so that it would look like the dog that she had named Georgie. So you can see, get up close here. We've got the black cat facing away. You can see the changes to the hair here. And then we've got our little Georgie dog with his red collar. So this is where I currently sit with the Moonlight Sampler. I love it. I'm so happy with how these color changes are coming out on this fabric. I knew I had to make some just because of the fabric color, and then to work with the girl's hair and change the style and change the cat and change the colors on the dog. It was a lot of changes, and I knew that it was going to be interesting, and I'm so happy that it's turned out so well. The next thing that I have been working on is almost a finish. I am waiting for my stitching group meeting in February, and this will be done. This is my sheltering tree. This is from All Through the Night. This is the model stitch. Sorry for a little bit of glare. And so this one, if you watched my WIP Parade, you know that I am inverting the colors on this. This is on a 40 count piece of swamp from Picture This Plus, and it's pretty much done. So here's where it stands. So these threads that you see down at the bottom, that is where my stitching group will put in their initials. You can see I've already put my initials down there in the corner under that rabbit and the year. Even though we started this last year, I finished it this year. Well, it backs the colors a little more true. So I have them all set up to backstitch in their initials. This is 40 count. It's not everyone's cup of tea. It is dark. It is hard to see. So if they don't want to do it, I can do it for them. But it's ready for them when they are ready for it. Oh, and I think I forgot to say, the Woodland Winter Sal is stitched on a 16 count piece of Blue Moon Ada from Bestitch Me, and the Moonlight Sampler is stitched on something called Nantucket Prim. It's an Ada. Let me show you. So it's a weird dye process. So the back looks like that, but then the front is that gorgeous prim kind of effect of fabric, and that is from an Etsy seller called Vintage Needle Arts. You can see all of the information there. And finally, the last thing that I worked on this week, or this last couple weeks, was Something Wicked This Way Comes from Autumn Lane Stitchery. This is on a piece of opal linen in 28 count. It's the color Oh My Gourd from Bestitch Me. And I put in some work over just a couple of days on this. If you saw my WIP parade, you'll notice there was no house in my WIP parade. And now there's a house. So I put in from here down the entire house. Lots of 310. I was ready to stitch in anything but 310 when I was finished. But this is looking great. And again, like I said in my WIP parade, I know my margin is awful. I was desperate to fit this on this piece of fabric because I won it in a Friday Night Fight Night giveaway. So it will go to about here on this margin and take up pretty much this whole fabric. There's a whole bottom half to do after this is done. But I put in some work on it. I love it because it's easy to just pick up one skein of floss and just go. You know, there's not a lot of color changes. The pattern is intricate, but not so intricate that you're pulling out your hair when you're trying to stitch on it. So I love this. So that leads me to the last thing that I worked on over the last couple weeks. And this is actually something that I finished while at Stitch Away, which was very exciting. This is All Good Things Are Wild and Free from Emma Congdon, who is better known in the stitching world as Stitcherovia. And I stitched this on a piece of 28 count Lugana in Springfield Sage from Zweigart. And it's done. I'll bring it in. You can see it. I did leave out the name at the bottom. The consensus at my Stitch Away table was that it did not lose anything from losing the name at the bottom. It doesn't look like there's negative space there. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And I already have plans to stitch something else from the book. I'll talk about that in a future update. We're going to start that around the 1st of spring. I think my absolute favorite are those meerkats at the bottom. Oh, her use of color is so good. This makes my heart so happy to have this finished. So that's the only thing that I finished currently. But when I was talking to people at Stitch Away about the fact that I had filmed a Flosstube, someone said, and I think it was Amity, said, "Can you film a finished parade?" And I said, well, that's like 8 years worth of stitches, and some years I finished like 25 plus things. That would be a lot. And so then we were talking about maybe you could just show a couple per video. And the more I thought about it, the more I liked that. So we're going to do a little segment, maybe not every time, but most times, I think, called Legacy Finishes. So the first one that I want to show, keeping with the upcoming Valentine's Day season, is this from Autumn Lane Stitchery. His name is Know Me Homie, and I finished this on January 20th, 2022. He's on a 16 count piece of Whimsy from Picture This Plus. That's him. That's my little gnome guy. I have him on this easel. So he sits with our Valentine's Day decorations up on my little hutch here. That was my grandma's hutch. It was a china cabinet. We took the doors off of it. And where it stores video games for my son, I get the top few shelves for my things. So there's my little Know Me Homie. I love him. He's so cute. Then, a more recent finish, I finished this past December 2024. This is the Jingle Bell Sleigh Ride Company from Cherry Hill Stitchery. This is on an 18 count piece of Aida in Hazelnut Cream from Grace Notes Fabrics. And I borrowed this from someone in my stitching group. We bring patterns that we've finished or that we don't want anymore and let people go through them, kind of like a little mini freebie table from a retreat at some of our meetups. I love it. I just love it. The white pops off of the fabric a lot more in person than you can see on the camera here, but that's okay. I'm planning to mount this onto something and display it this coming Christmas. I just didn't have enough time to finish anything in the month of December. Life was so crazy. So next Christmas, it'll be fully finished. I say that and wait until you see some of these legacy finishes coming up that have been in the box for years. It's fine. So the next thing that I will talk about are plans. I have a few basic plans. Like I said, I usually stick with a rotation. The only exception to that is I do have a WIP Go board and I like to do seasonal stitching. So I do Christmas in July and I do Halloween things in late September and October. And then November and especially December, I pretty much stick with Christmas. So other than that, I will go through my WIP list systematically and knock out a couple days on each project. But for WIP Go, I give them each 4 days. This coming month for February, the pools were number 7 and number 8. My number 7 is my Heaven and Earth Designs, my Haid. This is Bath Time from Lisa Parker. So he will get 4 days in the month of February at least. I'm excited to get some progress on that. He was called in January as well. I think he's on my board 5 times. And then the other thing that was called was number 8. And if you know, you know, this is my Ragnarok. My long dog sampler is Ragnarok. So I got a lot of feedback on my last video where I was talking about the dye lot issue with the sulky thread that I was using for the darker colors in this piece, specifically because I was more than halfway through the horse and I started a new skein, got 500 stitches into it, turned on the big light, realized it was a different color. So some people said, try it, maybe you can frog it, get different skeins. I've gotten different spools. They're all lighter. Something has changed somewhat. I am not ripping them. Even if I were to find someone that had an older spool and it was the same darker color, I'm going to run into that problem again because the whole outer border is that color and I'm using it for different accents. So we're just going to go with it. And so many people said, it gives it character. I like it. It fits. It's a long dog. Do what you want. And I figured, this is Sleipnir. This is Odin's horse, if you're familiar with Norse mythology. If he can have 8 legs, he can be 2 colors. So Ragnarok will be getting 4 days of progress in the month of February to complete my WIP Go goals. I kept up with WIP Go all of last year. I finished my board and I was very proud of myself. So fingers crossed that we can do the same thing this year. My only other firm plan for the month of February is to start sort of a little mini sal. I don't know how many people are going to do it. It's very niche. At Stitch Away on Saturday morning, there was a bat in the dining room when people were having breakfast. There are pictures. I believe Sarah, who is Engineer the Craft on Instagram, has a picture of this little baby bat. Not ideal when you're trying to have breakfast. I didn't see him in person. Lots of other people did. So we were talking about this bat, and then I found a pattern in the annex that had a bat on it. And then I found 2 more patterns on the freebie table that had bats on them. And we were like, should we sal this bat? Should we do a stitch along for the bat? So I was talking a little more with my friend Erin, who is Cozy Town Stitches on Instagram, and she and Amity are the Hathaway Stitchers here on YouTube. I'm sure you've heard of them. They're fantastic. We're going to do a little sal. And I don't know if anyone else is going to join in or even understand what it means, but we understand what it means. So this is going to be the hashtag breakfast with bats sal. I am going to keep this in this super cute project bag that my friend Maureen made. She gave them to us. There were all different kinds of bags that she made. They're super cute. She's in my stitching group. I am going to be stitching the little from Cottage Garden samplings. Picked it up on the freebie table at Stitch Away. I have done the reindeer from this series, and I love them. They are a lot of stitching. This is deceiving. He looks little. It's one of these little patterns. It's a lot of stitching, but I'm excited. So we are starting that on Saturday, February 1st. If you like bats or breakfast, join us. Once again, the hashtag is Breakfast with Bats Sal. So there's my little brown bat. And I'm going to stitch him with the DMC on a piece of fabric that I got from the annex at Stitch Away. I cut it in half because I got a fat quarter and it's a lot. It's 36 count. It's series from Under the Sea fabric. It's perfect for this project. Here's the part that I'm going to use for that. So you can see it's lighter up in this corner and around to the side, which is exactly where he would be. I stitch it like that was the plan, I think. And it's just so mottled and kind of dirty looking. I love it. It's fantastic. When I saw it, I was like, I don't know, I don't need fabric. And then the more I thought about it, the more I did need fabric. And I bought this needle minder there as well. I might need some psychiatric help these days. So that's my little brown bat. I'm very excited to get him started. So speaking of Stitch Away, I thought I would give just a brief recap of my Stitch Away experience. I am wearing the shirt. Let me sit back and show you. The Promise of Spring, which everyone who traveled here, who didn't live here, was probably like, yeah, right, because they got here right after we had a foot of snow on the ground. It was fine. Stitch Away was wonderful. This was my first experience with Stitch Away. It's kind of difficult to get into because they do let previous year's attendees have first dibs on seats. I was so excited when I got the phone call that I had been picked from the wait list and got to go this year. I went on Friday and Saturday. The retreat itself goes from Monday through Sunday, technically Saturday night. But I was only able to go on Friday and Saturday. I think it worked out well. I had a great table at Stitch Away. I had spoken with Erin and Amity from Hathaway Stitchers in advance, knew they were going to be there. They were so kind to save me a seat with them at their table because they were there a day before me and were able to get my name tag, get my spot set up for me. It was great. So I was at a table with them, with Sarah, Engineer the Craft, Tona, the Feisty Stitcher on Instagram, which was hilarious because we knew each other was going to be there, but we'd never seen one another in person. So we were probably at that table for a solid 5 or 6 hours before I was speaking with Pam from Just Keep Stitching and said my Instagram handle out loud. And she was like, it's you. We ended up at the same table. It was very funny. And also I was with Jessica, Must Have Been Stitching on Instagram, Rose, Lady Posey on Instagram, Beverly and Barbara, who are Acorn Stitcher and Calico Stitches on Instagram, and a few other people. Unfortunately, I didn't write down their Instagram handles in time, but we had this big hybrid table in the middle of the back of the room. There was 3 tables put together, and we just had the best time. So many laughs, so many funny stories. If you can make it to Stitch Away, if you don't already go, I highly recommend it. It is relaxing. It has all the elements of a retreat that you're used to, like classes and the shopping annex and freebie tables and brag tables and all of that. But it is so relaxing to be at this lodge in the woods and to just stitch. There was no big pomp and circumstances. It was just a bunch of people getting together, spreading out because there were people in the big open area by the fireplace. I was in the main stitching room where the presentations took place. There were people in hallways and in corners and covered up with blankets and in pajamas. Just a really enjoyable experience. I'm so glad I got the opportunity to go. I'm so glad I get the opportunity to go next year. I will definitely be there. So I wanted to show very quickly just a few table gifts. I did not plan well at all. I was not prepared for a giant hybrid table of like 14 people, so I didn't have enough things to pass around. So I'll do better next year. I will be over prepared next year instead of under prepared. I felt terrible. But I did receive a few things from people. This cute little squishy from Amity. This is like, it's a stress ball, but it's not. And it's just very therapeutic in your hands. And especially if you're like me and you're stitching or crocheting or whatever all the time, you know how your hands can get stiff, especially in the winter. This is the thing for you. It's called Neato Gumdrops. Show you the. Looks like this. Highly recommend. Very helpful. Thank you. And then I'm storing all my other goodies in here. Look at this cute project bag. So you got the cross stitch fabric here. And look at the cute Christmas fabric. Erin made these. She had a whole bunch of different designs. I love it. It's my favorite kind because you'll see my stuff in here. It's got this pocket here, but then it's got the separate pocket to put like your pattern or whatever in front. Love it. Favorite kind of design. We got cute goodies from Barbara and Beverly. Little friction highlighter with the little clip. I love the little clips. Cute stickers. Floss drops. All Valentine's themed, which I love. So cute. And there was some cute candy in here. And then someone was walking around giving out little friendship bracelets. She was like, I know we're not at a Taylor Swift concert, and these are from Amazon, but there you go. It was really cute. Very sweet. And then let's see, Sarah brought these cute little 3D printed trays. Her husband does this kind of thing, and it's so cool. So you can put your orts in there. I love this. I can't wait to use it. I have a little mini trash can, like one that you're supposed to put in a car cup holder. This is so much better. It's so cuter, so much cuter. And then I can dump it in my trash can when I'm done. And she also gave out some stickers and some tea, which is very sweet. I've been holding on to all these things so I could show them, and I've been craving that tea. So once this is over. And then Rose handed out the cutest pins. Okay. Very fitting with all the snow we had on the ground. So just thank you all. The kindness of people is amazing, and I will be better prepared next time. I know how to prepare for things like StitchCon, where you've got a set table and you know how many people. I did not prepare well for this. I'll get there. So the thing with Stitch Away is they always have a guest designer. This year's guest designer was revealed to us on Friday nights, and it was Linda from Erica Michaels Designs. She gave a great Q&A the first night, and on the first night, we received a chart that is going to be exclusive to Stitch Away. It's just a little guy, like a little scissor fob or key ring thing, floss drum adornments for Promise of Spring, which was the theme. And we got the Ada, or you could do it on perforated paper, like the model, and the little ring. So we got that as a freebie on Friday night. And then on Saturday, she gave a great talk about how to finish a strawberry because, as most of you probably know, she is the queen of the strawberry. So many patterns. And I think she said altogether, strawberries and other patterns included, she has over 400 designs, but only 200 and some of them are active. Just the length of the career and the amount of content that she has created for people to stitch is amazing. So she gave the great talk about the finishing. And then we got to see the retreat pattern. Now, this is not going to be exclusive to the retreat. This comes with the frames pattern, this frame right here, the pattern for the drum, and the pattern for the strawberry. Keepsakes announced this morning, and I'm filming on Tuesday, January 28th, but they do have a limited number of the full kit. So everything I'm about to show you from here on, they have it. Very small numbers, but I believe after the kits, this pattern will be exclusive to Keepsakes customers for a year. And then I think it'll be released, is what they said. So if you're interested, get on it. So with that, we received the flosses. These are for both the main pattern book and the little key fob, scissor fobs. They use the same colors. We also got a stack of the finishing things for the drum and the strawberry. So belts and ribbon and things like that. I am not a very good finisher of things that are not framed or mounted. So this is going to be new for me, but I'm really excited to give it a shot. The strawberry tutorial was so good, and she has pictures and instructions on her website. So I think I'll be able to do it. So we'll see. And then they actually gave us the fabric. And this is, I think, more fabric than I'm going to need for all of these projects combined. So I'll use this for something else as well. This is Needle and Flax Dirty Teacup. Mine is a 36 count linen. Oh, it's so good. I don't think I've ever stitched on Needle and Flax before. But it's this really pretty mottled tannish brown. Color's not coming out too great, but so generous. Just all around, just such a great event. And the first thing I had to do when I got there was I had to go shopping. So I went to the annex and I held myself back a little, just a little. So there was a very kind woman that was in attendance at Stitchaway. Her name is Karen. She goes by Nana K. She makes all kinds of really cute pouches and bags and just really, really cute homemade sewn things. So I bought a couple of her things after speaking with her for a little bit when I first got there. I got a retreat badge holder. So it's really nice. You can put your badge up here. There's a little zipper pocket. I kept my hotel room key in this. Super handy. And there's a little mesh pocket back here. You could put your phone or anything else that you wanted. Like if you were walking around a retreat and were getting things from people or trading little gifts, you could stick them in there while you're walking around. And then also from her, I bought a little corner bookmark. So the pages go in there and it sits on the corner. I already have it in my book. I've been using it. It went on my book the second I got home. The other things that I bought, this is the other half of that series Under the Sea fabric that I bought. This is my pattern I found with the bat. I love him. This is from Heart and Hand. This is called Doodle's Halloween. Look at him. Is he not over it? That's my mood. I love this. I'm hoping I can fit this and a couple more things on the other eighth of this fabric. Then I bought one other pattern. This is from December Stitches, Santa's Cat in a Jeep. Not typically my style, but that looks like one of my cats. That looks like my Augie. And he would be the one that would take off in a car. So I got that. And then I bought this project bag. This is from Alara Designs. This is my vibe. It's got this beautiful marbling. And the books. I love the books. I put a little scissor fob that I made on here. I don't know if you can see it very well. It says Stitch Away because it matches the colors perfectly. And it's another one of those that has the big pocket and the little pocket in front. So I love this. I was very happy with my purchases and with the small amount of restraint that I showed. Then I will show you a few freebies. So this is the freebie that we got when we checked into the hotel. Stitchaway 2025. Really pretty blue color. And then the inside is this fantastic shade of green. So I've been keeping all of my goodies in here, waiting to show everybody everything. And then, of course, the freebie table. Now, I was only there for Friday and Saturday, so I'm sure in the days prior there was a lot of other very good goodies on the freebie table. I love a freebie table. I love looking for myself. I love looking for other people. I'm a thrifter at heart. I love to go to thrift stores and kind of treasure hunt. So a freebie table is right up my alley. And I found some good things. I'm not going to show everything. I'm showing most things. There are a few that they'll come up eventually in videos, I'm sure. The first thing I found is this heart in hand. Merry Christmas to all. Aren't they cute? Look at that snowman. His head's so little and he's like, hey. But it even still has the beads in it. I'll show the chart, but very cute. This made my life. You know, I love the blue flower. She's my favorite. Autumn acorns, Halloween acorns, and spring acorns. They were all laying there together, and I snatched them right up. I'm very excited about these. Then this cute little hands-on design called Flock Together. I do not really like birds. I love the beach. So this is cute. This from Lindy Stitches, Cats Love Christmas. I especially love the bottom one, the accident-free days. If you have cats that have any kind of orneriness in them, which is most cats, you know the struggle. Then I got December's Holly from Cottage Garden Samplings. All hearts come home for Christmas. I love this especially. And the snowman with his little scarf. I found an Erica Michaels chart. Whoop. This is Reindeer Games. Super cute. I'm thinking I might change up the colors on this. Right now the green is mostly just in the border and a couple of the words. I think I want to make it more Christmassy. I want to do more reds and greens, maybe a mixture of tints of different reds and greens in there. But I love it, and I love this little drum. And there's a strawberry, because you never get just one thing in an Erica Michaels chart. So I'm excited about that one. And then Erin found this, and she already had it in her stash. This from Hello from Liz Matthews, Winter Garden. I love it. It's so cute, and these little reindeer are just, they're so simple, but they're so cute. I love Hello from Liz Matthews. I don't have anything currently going from her, but I have stitched several things from her in the past, and they're just a lot of fun to stitch. So I'm excited for that. And then finally, The River from Modern Folk Embroidery. The river that flows in you also flows in me. I love Jacob's stuff. He's such a talented designer. So those were my patterns that I picked up from the freebie for myself. So that's it. Last thing I'll say about Stitch Away is that they are going to reach out to those of us that attended this year in early April to give us time to re-register, get our room, everything like that settled for 2026. It's always the week before Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So they will then open up a wait list to anyone who is not returning retreater. Sometime I think they said in like mid to late April, somewhere in that ballpark. So if you're not following Keepsakes on Instagram or Facebook or a part of their newsletter, make sure you do that if you're interested in attending Stitch Away and see if you can get on the wait list for next year. And hopefully you'll get to join us because it was so much fun and I'm really looking forward to going back. And that's all I have for this update. So what I'm hoping to do is to join you every 2 weeks-ish. The goal would be 2 weeks. Sometimes life gets in the way. I have a busy kid, sports, all that kind of stuff. But hopefully I'll be able to update every 2 weeks. That seems like a pretty good cadence for me. I stitch on my rotation, so I should have a good variety of projects to show, and I'll have some legacy finishes and things like that. So I hope you'll join me back here again in 2 weeks' time. In the meantime, Please leave me a comment if you have any questions or anything else you'd like to say. Subscribe if you're interested in future updates. Follow me on Instagram. I have the same handle on Instagram. It's Slone Stitches. I would love to speak with you there, take a look at your projects. People have sent me very sweet messages. I love responding to them. So please feel free to reach out. And that's all. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you again at the next one. Bye.